Well, hello and welcome to Dubai for the pole position, for the EMAR pole position for the final round of the UIM Skydive Dubai XCAT World Series. The series returns back to the beautiful waters here in the Middle East, in the Gulf. And, well, the pole position session has just got underway. First out onto the 3.55 nautical mile course for T-Bone Station. They've just done an outlap and literally just gone straight back into the wet pit area for what is destined to be a very hard-fought and very competitive pole position session here. Fazza really, throughout the course of 2014, have dominated the EMAR pole position results, other than the one single round at round 3 when we're in Naples in Italy, when Alfredo Amato and Marco Panesi put the number 22 Cantiero Postione boat onto the pole position there. Well, in yesterday's free practice session, the Al Al Racing team, the number 22 boat of Alfredo Amato and Marco Panesi, were fastest in free practice yesterday. Let's wait and see what happens over the course of this hour and a half pole position session, and with everything not necessarily to play for in terms of the championship, Fazza having stitched up the championship with yet another victory last time out at Stresa in Italy, some months ago since the boats took to the water. But they'll be running in a non-compliant boat over the course of this weekend. They're busy developing the new 4-stroke Mercury engine, so we're going to see starting to head into Xcats over the course of the 2015 and 2016 season. So regardless of where Fazza qualify, they will not take up their relative position. They will start on the outside of turn 1, ready for the race. So it gives some of the other boats the opportunity to try and obtain pole position. The number 50 boat of Moad just heading out onto a quick lap. You can see just how calm and beautiful the water's there. The number 7 boat, well, that's the boat that lies second in the championship at the moment, the Dubai boat that's shared by Salam Al-Adidi again this weekend, and the hugely experienced Jay Price, a Louisiana-based American who's on the throttles once more over the course of this weekend. So they head out onto a quick lap, and Moed is another boat that will be hoping for good things over the course of this weekend. Joachim Kumlin and Gary Ballou, another American driver who's amongst the field over the course of this weekend. They've had an up and down season really. They've continually modified and developed the boat over the season, only for then to be put on the back foot for other reasons. And when they've gone well, but unfortunately they've posted a couple of non-finishes throughout the course of the 2014 season. As they make their way up onto the far reaches of the course, round through the right-hander at the first turn here on the beautiful looking Palm Jumeirah. So with Moad out there and looking as though they are on a quick lap at this stage. We've got a couple of new boats over the course of this weekend. Great to see that Team Abu Dhabi have joined the Xcats this weekend with both boats number 4 and number 5. And the likes of Ahmed Al-Hamli and Scott Gilman, the ex-Formula 1 champion, who is on the throttles of the number 4 boat. Also have the number 5 boat as well, at the second of the 2 boats from Team Abu Dhabi, Rashid Al-Taylor and Fila Al-Masouri. So great to see them throughout the course of this weekend. Moad looking as though they are pushing on over the course of this lap. You can see that when they head out onto the latter sections of the Palm Jumeirah, you can see the water just a little bit choppy there as they turn their way through the left-hand turn. Gary Ballou on the throttles of that boat, and another driver with huge amounts of experience. Started racing back in the latter part of the 1980s, did Gary Ballou, and has got something like 108 wins under his belt. So Moad, the number 50 boat, pressing on. You can see just how busy the course is as well, with the vast majority of the field. Some 15 bounce heads this weekend for the final round of the UAM Skydive Dubai XCAT World Series final. So with 15 boats out there, it's going to be a very, very busy course indeed, and therefore picking your point to try and set a pole position lap is going to be potentially key over the course of the remainder of the hour and a half session for the EMAR pole position. So Fazza just going through and heading round through the first turn. Of course, they're the only boat within the field running the new 4-stroke Mercury engine that's due to be introduced out, replacing the 2-stroke machines. So it's a Mercury Racing derived 4-stroke engine, supercharged unit as well, so downgraded from 350 horsepower to 300 horsepower for the XCAT World Series. Heavier than the previous 2-stroke engine as well, as Moed go through and conclude their lap, easing off the throttles as they head over the start-finish line. So Moed having posted the fastest time of the session so far, 2 minutes 56.74, so there's still time to come, I would suggest. 2 minutes 45.1 was the fastest time that we saw in yesterday's free practice session. So Horsenboot, who are Nicolini offshore, second quickest, then the two Team Abu Dhabi boats, so they're the only boats really that are posting flying laps at this stage, but the times are likely to tumble. There's still a chunk of boats out there that haven't as yet posted a full flying lap in this session, including the likes of Fazza, T-Bone Station, who are certainly one to watch out for over the course of this weekend. Luca Fendi and Giovanni Carpatelli. Giovanni, the 2009 champion. They're right up there in the reckoning of the overall championship as we look towards the number 5 boat of Abu Dhabi, pressing on down the course. You can see the boat beautifully riding the waves up on the plain. That's the boat that has Rashid Al Taylor on the throttle and Filia Al Masuri, as we look towards Fazza, who are out on course, and we saw them go over the start-finish line not so long ago. They're just making their way down past the Palm Jumeirah and about to turn very shortly through the right-hander that will bring them back towards the conclusion of a lap in a few moments' time. So through the sweeping left-hander, then through the slightly tighter right-hander at the bottom end of the course down near Palm Jumeirah, which will then see them head over the start-finish line. So already crowned the champions for this year 3 times on the trot now. Fazza have claimed the XCATS World Series. Arif Al Zafin and Nadir Ben Hendi, who have had, well, to say that they've had a good season is very much the understatement of the year. They have claimed victories in all of the speed cap runs. They've claimed victories in all of the races so far. They've claimed pole position in all but one of the races. That was at Naples. And we'll be looking to try and develop those Mercury engines as Lady Spain heads over the start-finish line. Altman Marine. And again, great to see Pierre Simone Volt back after 2-year break in racing. Great to see him back behind the wheel or on the throttles of the number 46 boat. So the course that was busy a few moments ago, a fair chunk of the boats now have just made their way back in towards the wet pit, so change of props for a chunk of them. Try some different props, get back out there on the water, see whether they can look for improvement. But Fazza looking as though they're pressing on over the course of this lap. The boat beautifully poised in the water as they head over the start-finish line and conclude the lap for them. The time from Fazza comes in now, a 3 minutes 10.107. So, as I say, it doesn't matter where they qualify, they will not take up their respective position come the start of the race tomorrow, because both themselves and the 2 Abu Dhabi boats are in reality wildcard entries for this weekend. So times in qualifying mean that they will still start on the outside relative to the rest of the grid come the main race tomorrow that we see here in Dubai. So Moed fastest of all still so far, having just done the 1 flying lap. Lady Spain looking as though they are out there and on a quick lap at this stage. You can just see them heading through the right-hander at the far point of the circuit. So this 3.55 mile nautical mile lap. Long lap that they have to do in racing brings the total up to 4.03 miles. Heading out onto the water for the first time in this session, we see Spirit of Dubai. So with Rashid Al Mari, the man who is both on the throttles and the driver of the boat as well. Lady Spain, though, splashing its way back down towards the Palm El Jumeirah. And that pairing this weekend of Pal Verink Nielsen, 6 times a UIM World and European medalist. New boat for this year, huge amounts of experience though for Pal. What, 20 years of racing, 230 plus races for him nowadays. And partnered this weekend with Pierre Simone Volpe, who's returning to racing rather than his regular team management role for the best time in a couple of years, the former Italian offshore powerboat champion. all of the safety crews out amongst the circuit as well. And the great thing now with virtual eye that we flick to, that shows the exact GPS positioning and the backdrop of the fabulous Dubai scenery, it allows the recovery boat that we saw a few moments ago to automatically, if there's a problem out on course, know exactly which boat it is and exactly which position they need to head to. As Rahib are working their way down the back straight. Well, it's not really a straight in reality, because it's just a sort of a sweeping continual left-hander as Lady Spain come through and conclude their lap. So Lady Spain easing the throttles up, looking as though they're heading back to wet pit as Rahib still press on. Here we see Rahib just turning their way through the left-hander, so they're now into the section of the circuit that's very much encompasses the Palm Jumeirah, and then from there they've got that slightly tighter right flick. Another boat heading out onto the course that we've not seen as yet, Qatar team, Mohammed Al Nasser, another one of the pilots that uses both foot throttles and steers the boat as well. Abdulrahman Al Nasser once more sitting alongside. And the course starting to fill up again once more. Rahib should be the next of the boats that comes over the start-finish line, and for them will be, I think, just heading on to a quick lap. In fact, here comes Rahib now over the start-finish line. Abdullah Atif Al Amani, the all-blue boat, the pairing that finished, or the boat that finished 10th in the championship last year, makes its way through the first turn and has already just started to ease things off, as Nicolini offshore, I think, should be the next of the boats to come through. So the boat renamed Horsenboot for this weekend. We can see that Lady Spain have eased off the throttles. You can see the wake of the boat substantially larger, so they'll peel their way left in a few moments and start to turn their way in towards the wet pit area as Horsenboot or Nicolini offshore head their way through turn one. Matteo Nicolini, and once more sitting alongside him is Tommaso Poli, 6 times a Class 1 champion Tommaso, as they work their way right out onto course, getting some real air. You can see the sea starting to roughen up a little bit down the backstretch. Certainly not riding the waves particularly well. There is T-Bone Station by the look of things. The boat really starting to get up right up onto the very tip of the plane, riding on the props. But you can see the nose of the boat just not sitting comfortably, just slapping up and down on the water. So continually having to adjust the throttles all of the time whilst all of that is going on will be the T-Bone Station team. So it's Giovanni Carpatelli that sits on the throttles of that one, as Fazza once more again just riding the water beautifully as they head through over the start-finish line. Another lap concluded by Fazza, and as we look towards the leaderboard, we still have number 50, Moad, fastest of all in this session for the EMAR pole position. They're fastest of all, 2 minutes 56.74 from them. That's just a second quicker than Horsenboot, which is Nicolini offshore with a 2 minute 57.89. Now we've got Yachts Magazine, boat number 96, which is Francois Pinelli and Sol Babako. Francois on the throttles, Sol doing the steering. Now just under the 3 minute mark, 2 minute 59.25. Then the two Team Abu Dhabi boats, boat number 5 faster than boat number 4 for 4th and 5th places at this stage. And Dubai, which is Salam Adadidi and Jay Price, who sit second in the championship, 6th quickest at this stage. Marine Investimenti Sud are 7th, Fazza are there in 8th place, then it's Lady Spain and Rahib, T-Bone Station completing the top 11. We've still got a few boats that we've not seen out as yet completing flying laps, 4 of them in fact, number 11 which is Spiritu Dubai, Videx, Fujera Racing and Qatar team, as we look back towards once more Horsenboot, who are working their way down towards the bottom right-hander on the course. So through into the section of the course that forms the end of Palm Jumeirah. You can see them now just about to very shortly turn their way through the right-hander. You see the speeds that the boats are getting as well, 260 kilometres per hour as they turn their way in towards the right-hander. These boats all capable of, subject to conditions, which are not far off ideal. There's still a little bit of a swell on the water, not as much as there was yesterday in the free practice session. You can see just exactly how much some of the boats, particularly coming down the back straight back towards the mainland, once they've gone offshore and they start to come back towards the mainland, you can see Fazza there continually just bouncing off the waves as it rides its way back down the straight in towards the sweeping left-hander. You can see the speed that they're carrying. Again, topping out at certainly 150 kilometres per hour with their, of course, new 4-stroke Mercury engines. Looks as though over the course of this lap, Spirit of Dubai is pressing on as well. That's the number 11 boat. So that busy section of the circuit where we see both Fazza, Spirit of Dubai and the number 22 boat of Videx all circulating together down at the bottom section of the track through the right-hander. So right down near the trunk of Palm El Jumeirah. As over the start-finish line comes Qatar team that finished 7th in the championship back in 2013. Have just gone through and concluded what for them should be, I would have thought, their first flying lap. We'll pick up on the time in a few moments. Fazza come through and ease off the throttles. Take a much wider entry into turn 1, so they're destined for wet pit this time through. And Qatar team, no, not as yet, having posted a flying lap, so they're going on to their flying lap this time through. Another boat that hasn't posted a flying lap as yet is the number 22 boat, the Videx boat, that was fastest yesterday in the free practice session. Alfredo Amato and Marco Panesi in the Al Al Racing number 22 boat. Not seen them on the podium over the course of this year. They've managed a 5th here last time out. That was our best result of the season in Dubai. So they'll be hoping for good things over the course of this weekend as we look back towards the far end of the course and having gone to the furthest point offshore, coming back in towards the Palm El Jumeirah section of the circuit. See just how rougher that section of course looks. Fujairah team working their way out onto course as we pick up on Marine Investimenti Sud, who at this stage are 10th quickest. So Moad still fastest of all so far. That 2-minute 56.74 keeps them to the top of the time. Still fairly close though. We've got, 3 boats covered by a little more than 2.5 seconds. We've got the top 5 boats covered by less than 4 seconds. And that includes this boat here, Yachts Magazine, who are currently 3rd quickest, 2 minutes 59.25. We've only got 3 boats under the 3-minute mark, and this is one of them. So 3rd quickest for the number 96 boat, as Fujairah team are really going to be the last of the boats on parade in reality. We've not seen a great deal of them. There go the Breitling Windwalkers as well. We'll see a chunk of them over the course of this weekend. Marine Investimenti Sud over the start-finish line. Here's the boat that was fastest yesterday in the free practice session. Number 22 boat of Alfredo Amato and Marcos Panesi. They may well have been fastest in free practice yesterday, but they did stop out on course as well. Not entirely sure what the problem was for them, or whether they simply ran the boat with such a minimum fuel level they perhaps hadn't quite put enough in and couldn't make it back to the pit area. So we'll pick up on their time, but they're certainly carrying some speed as they head down towards the bottom section of the circuit, up to 170 kilometres per hour, which is about the top speed of these boats. Yachts Magazine over the start-finish line, boat that was 3rd quickest, in the hands of Francois Pinelli and Sol Babacco. They've had some good results so far this season. We have seen them on the podium as Qatar team work their way back through once more. And as for that number 22 boat of Videx, again you can see the boat sitting just beautifully in the water. Not seen on the podium as yet this year, Alfredo Amato and Marcos Panesi. They've had a consistent season. They finished in the top 10 in every race so far. Their best result coming here at Dubai, where they were 5th at the beginning of the year. And whilst they're now out on the far section of the circuit, Who else have we got out there? We've got T-Bone Stationer out there. That's a number 10 boat, which is down towards the bottom section of the course. We also have the number 7 boat of Dubai out there, Salam Al-Adidi and Jay Price. Qatar team. We've also got Videx, who will be working their way right the way out to offshore to the far bottom section of the circuit, round through the Dubai duty-free section of the circuit. And by the look of things, number 22, yeah, Videx, the fastest boat from yesterday, having just completed a lap, is turning its way back in towards the dry pit. We could just pick up on that through virtual eye. Virtual eye really does give the most fabulous view of exactly how the course is laid out here in the Gulf, and right outside the Dubai International Marine Club. Very challenging course, and certainly talking to some of the pilots yesterday, one that's very difficult to win at. There aren't that many pilots in the field that have won previously here in Dubai. Of course, Fazza are hugely the exception to that, have been fairly dominant in terms of XCAT racing, certainly this year, and having been champions for the last 3 years, you'd be tough to argue against, wouldn't you, really? With a fairly clear course, now might be the time for some of the quicker boats that are out there to press on. T-Bone Station, who are out on course. We're looking at Qatar team at this stage, who are heading down the back straight of the course. This time the boat looking slightly more settled in the water than it did earlier on in the session. Looking to try and improve their time. Here comes Marine Investimenti Sud. Through and over the start-finish line, Serafino Bellesi and Alessandro Barone. Serafino, the elder statesman of the field really nowadays, not in the first flush of youth, but certainly hugely energetic and enthusiastic about his XCAT racing. Yachts Magazine also concluding a lap for them. Looked like a good lap from Yachts Magazine, that one. They were third quickest earlier on in the session, as Marine Investimenti Sud, the number 20 boat, continually pressing on. It's been a good season as well for Marine Investimenti Sud. They did finish on the podium. It was in Naples that we saw Serafino Bellesi and Alessandro Barone finish on the podium. And the back section of the water again looking very choppy, very difficult for these pilots just to continually try and look at the wave ahead, look at what's going on the course ahead, get on and off the throttles and adjust the way that the boat is riding the water. You can see just how tough it is there. That's, by the look of things, the Dubai boat. So Jay Price working very hard on the throttles just to try and control the boat all of the time, whilst Salam Al-Adidi, who, in terms of some of the pilots that we've got out there, relatively inexperienced, first came into XCATs back in 2013. He'll be behind the wheel of that boat, and that's one boat that didn't have a great deal of course activity yesterday. I think it was water pressure problems in the boat for Jay Price. As T-Bone Station are about to come through and conclude one more lap. Haven't seen a great deal of improvement, though, in terms of time since Moad came out onto the course, the best part of 20 minutes ago, having posted their fastest time so far. So at this stage, the EMAR pole position is being held by the number 50 boat as T-Bone Station go through and conclude their lap. So, and on that lap, yep, they have gone quickest as well. Thought it looked like a good lap from T-Bone Station. They have gone quickest, so 2 minutes 55.52 from T-Bone Station puts them 1.2 seconds ahead of Moad, who have a second in hand between themselves and Yachts Magazine, who've gone third quickest. Horse and Boot or Nicolini Offshore sit there fourth, Fazza are fifth, Videx are sixth place, and the first of the Abu Dhabi team boats, great to see them out this weekend, is currently seventh quickest. Eighth quickest is number 7, which is Dubai. Then we've got the second of the Abu Dhabi boats, and Marine Investimenti Sud rounding out the top 10. Just one boat, though, that hasn't done as yet a flying lap, that being number 28, the Fujairah boat, and they are out on course at this stage, and we can see them now, yeah, just heading down the back section of the course, down the back straight, into the sweeping left-hander that will then guide them into the long right-hander back past almost the trunk of Palm Jumeirah, and over the start-finish line. Dubai heading for Wet Pit. Also looks as though, just in the background there, that looks as though T-Bone Station have similar ideas as well. So, looking as though the number 10 boat rather, of Luca Fendi and Giovanni Carpatelli. Also Yachts Magazine heading back into Wet Pit as well. The French throttleman, Francois Pinelli, joined once more by the Italian, Sol Babacco, for the course of this weekend. And that's another pairing that have come on strong over the course of this season. Might be lying 6th in the standings, but that's largely as a result of a non-finish at Naples. So all of a sudden, from the course having been full of boats, there's just a couple out there at this stage. We've got Fujera Racing, who are worth watching out for. This is their first flying lap. So this will be their out lap in reality. So they'll be heading on to a flying lap this time through. So Roberto Lopiano and Andrea Comelli, the two Italians. It will be Roberto that's on the throttles, looking for a good performance over the course of this weekend. So they head over the start-finish line now. The number 28 boat, who have had their troubles over the course of this year, disqualified in Naples, non-finished in Stresa, so they'd rather like to forget about Italy over the course of this year and concentrate on the Middle East, where it's been a reasonable hunting ground for them. They managed to finish in 4th position at Fujera, their best result of the year so far, as they head on to their flying lap. And just the 2 boats, or 3 boats on course, as just having, I think, about to now go back out onto the course. We can see the number 6 boat of Horsenbu, or Nicolini offshore. Now, just made their way back onto the course. Fujera Racing working their way down the straight up towards turn 1. We've also got out there the number 5 Abu Dhabi team boat, which is Rashid Al Taylor and Fila Al Masuri. So we're looking at Horsenbu, who have just come out of Wet Pit and are retaking to the course. Over the start-finish line comes a beautiful look. I have to say the livery of the Abu Dhabi team boats looks absolutely stunning. Great to see them out this weekend. They are considering a return to full-time XCAT racing in 2015, and will certainly, very smart-looking boats, very professional setup, and the times are more than competitive as well, as they continue round on another quick lap by the look of things. Looking back at Nicolini offshore, Matteo Nicolini, who secured the Middle Eastern World Championship back in 2007, 5th in the championship last year, was the Nicolini offshore boat, and will, in terms of this session so far, probably some further improvement still needed really. They haven't quite been able to grab the time as yet that ideally they would like. Still plenty of time in which to do so over the course of this 1.5 hour session for the EMAR pole position. And with 3 boats out on course, then now might be the opportunity for them to perhaps try and wrestle a bit more speed out of the number 6 boat. So they're taking a slightly wider line through turn 1. We're looking back out onto the far section of the circuit. That's the Abu Dhabi boat that we can see at distance. Here come Fujera over the start-finish line now, having just completed a quick lap, just as Nicolini offshore there, the white boat with the dots, heads on to a quick lap. So Matteo Nicolini and Tommaso Poli starting a quick lap, just as Fujera end a quick lap, and that lap from Fujera hopefully will move them up through the order. In fact, yeah, it does. It puts them up to 11th position now, the number 28 boat, 3 minutes 8.59 from them. Quick rundown of the times. Number 10, T-Bone Station, still fastest of all so far, 2 minutes 55.52. Moad are second quickest, ahead of Yachts Magazine, who are third. Fourth quickest are Huzenbu, who are just heading on to another quick lap, let's not forget. So we've now got 4 boats under the 3-minute bracket. Fazer, of course, running those new development Mercury 4-stroke engines over the course of this weekend, are 5th. Videx are in 6th position. As we look back towards the number 5 Abu Dhabi team boat once more, that's currently 7th quickest in the standings, but again over the course of this lap looks to have posted so far a reasonable lap. The boat appearing to ride the water quite well, heading down into the bottom section of the circuit. A 3-minute 2.85, the best that they have managed so far in this session. And as they turn their way through the right-hander towards the end of the course, throw through the trunk of Palm Jumeirah, you can see them just there, cutting the corner beautifully, gauging it perfectly to take as tight a line in towards the buoy as they possibly can. You can see the rooster tail of water that sits behind these twin V6 2-stroke Mercury outboards that sit behind the number 5 boat. Send it over the start-finish line, and whilst they are currently 7th quickest, let's see whether that might possibly be an improvement in terms of time for them. They do improve their time, they don't improve their position though, so it goes from a 3-minute 2 down to a 3-minute 1 for the number 5 Abu Dhabi boat. So chipping away, but still a chunk of time that needs to be found if they want to move themselves ahead of the likes of the number 22 boat of Videx. Well, another 0.6 of a second would do it for them. You can see Palm Al Jumeirah there as we zoom out from virtual eye, giving a great view of the course. You can see the runway for Skydive Dubai just sitting on the right hand side of the screen as well, as Fujairah continued to press on. The course beginning to fill up again now, so Fujairah, who managed to post 11th quickest time last time through, that's the number 28 boat that over the course of this year, it's another one of those boats that's had a bit of an up and down season in reality. They managed a 4th, which was their best of the season so far. As we look back towards Nicolini offshore once more, coming through, concluding what for them is a flying lap. Certainly looks as though the boat is going well, easing off the throttles again as they come round through turn 1. So that was the quick lap completed for Horsenbu, and that puts them 3rd quickest, so good improvement from them. Fujairah team though just about to come through and conclude another flying lap for them. The number 28 boat also starting to fill up. That's Rahib, who are bouncing off the waves out on the far section of the circuit, so having gone to the furthest point of the circuit, now starting to work their way down the outer edge of Palm Jumeirah. That's the number 17 boat that we can see from virtual eye. So just heading around through the 3 yellow buoys there through the left-hander. 125 kilometres per hour as they head through that section of the course, and about to head over the start-finish line. Another lap being chalked in the book for what is Marine Investimenti Sud. So the number 20 boat of Serafino Balesi and Alessandro Baroni concludes a lap. They're sitting just inside the top 10 at this stage, and on that lap did not improve their time, so the 3-minute 6.78 still remains the best for them. So having seen a chunk of the number 5 Abu Dhabi team boat, briefly catching a glimpse of the number 4 boat there, which also remains out on course. The unofficial time, still subject to, of course, formal confirmation from the UIM authorities, still show T-Bone Station fastest of all. Let's not forget that, of course, there are some wildcard entries amongst the entry list over the course of this weekend, so the likes of the number 3 boat Fazer, who are running those new 4-stroke engines, will not take up that position come the starting grid tomorrow. Here's the number 5 Abu Dhabi team boat, which is heading on to a quick lap by the look of things. The line taken round through the final turn there would tell you that they wanted to get on the throttles as quickly as possible, try and carry that speed and momentum as they come over the start-finish line, which is, as we look from virtual eye, where they're heading to now. And here comes the number 5 boat now over the start-finish line, starting a quick lap. So onto the quick lap. That's one of the other boats that also is the wild card entry for this weekend. So in that respect, matters not where they qualify for the EMAR pole position, because they know that they are destined to start in the outside come the start lap tomorrow for the main Emirates Airline XCAT Grand Prix. You can see again there that we've got the best part of half of the field out on course. 15 boats entered this weekend, the largest entry we've seen I think all year in the Skydive Dubai XCAT World Series, and with 7 boats out on course, you can see 2 of them having gone right the way offshore. Looks as though riding the waves slightly better are Rahib as they work their way back towards the more inshore section of the course. Boat that's just ahead of them, that's to the right of our screen, is one of the Abu Dhabi team boats, that being the number 4 boat of Ahmed El Hamli, ex-Formula 1 racer, Formula 1 powerboat racer, and the American Scott Gilman, who is on the throttles. And back out on the course also Spirit of Dubai, who we've not seen a great deal of really over the course of this weekend. The 10-stroke-11 champions, one of the slightly older boats in the field nowadays, Rashid Al-Mari and Salim Fil El Hamli. So they're making their way back out of the pit area at the Dubai International Marine Club. Looking down from virtual eye, you can see the boats that are out there on course, and looking as though through and over the start finish line has just gone the Dubai boat. So Salim Al-Adidi and Jay Price pressing on, drivers that, or pilots that, lie second in the standings over the course of this season. There goes the Abu Dhabi number 4 boat. I think the number 5 boat stopped out on course as well somewhere. It went up to the top section of the circuit and we've not subsequently seen it come back. So Rahib also heading through onto a quick lap as well. So the course beginning to fill up all of the time. And yeah, there is the number 5 Abu Dhabi boat. We can see it from virtual eye now at the top section of the circuit and not carrying a great deal of speed. The great thing with virtual eye is not only does it pinpoint the boats for you, but it also gives you their relative or approximate speed as well. So you can see them having taken a very wide line through the corner, now starting to build up a little more momentum perhaps. Certainly that boat was up at turn 1 for a good period of time. Lady Spain over the start finish line, number 46. Again, as we say, great to see back this weekend on the throttles of that boat Pierre Simone Volpe, regular team manager within powerboat racing and in particular Xcats, and back after 2 years away from the sport, so he'll be coming into this weekend full of expectation for a boat that's new to Xcats this year. Here's Yachts magazine as well, right up there in terms of times in the early stages. I think they've just dropped down a shade more whilst the session has gone on, but again it looks as though it's another quick lap. You can see again the boat beautifully out of the water, right up on the plane, almost just the tail end of the boat, the stern of the boat and the props that are sitting in the water as Francois Pinelli continually adjusts the throttles. Another hugely experienced pilot, Francois, started racing in the mid-80s, 1986. It was the first time that we saw Francois racing. And shouldn't be too much longer before Yachts magazine heads over the start-finish line, because looking on virtual eye, they're just heading through the right-hand section of the circuit, up towards the top of your screens, Yachts magazine, so through that right-hander and then back onto the straight, which is where they're coming now, towards the start-finish line. Currently fourth quickest in this session, 2 minutes 57.74, their best. And as they head over the start-finish line, we'll be able to pick up in a few moments whether we might possibly see improvement in terms of that time. So Yachts Magazine go through, Francois Pinelli and Solber back up. And as they conclude their lap, no change for them, no quicker at all. So still the 2 minutes 57.74 is their benchmark time. The number 5 Team Abu Dhabi boat that was heading rather slowly round through turn 1, I think has just tried to pick position on the course more than anything. So heading over the start finish line, now that boat looking as though, yeah, the way it's riding the water and the sound of the throttles as it comes by, telling you that all may not be well. I suspect that may be heading back to wet bit, and having held its position out of turn 1 for a period of time, it may well be that there's possibly an issue. Let's hope not, because the Abu Dhabi team, who are back with us in XCATs this weekend, albeit running wildcard entries, will dearly hope that they have a fairly easy weekend of it. Once more at the far section of the course, it looking as though Francois Pinelli, Yachts Magazine, or CBR Offshore is the team that runs this boat, are pressing on. Line 6th in the standings. Have seen them on the podium. As there we look back at Lady Spain, who again, over the start-finish line comes Lady Spain. Pal Frank Nielsen heads through turn 1. And you can see on virtual eye that right with them at the same point of the course is Spirit of Dubai as well. So both of those boats almost side by side. Yachts Magazine again working very hard down the back straight. Francois Pinelli, so we did see them on the podium. They were 3rd last time out at Stresa in Italy. They finished 5th in Fujairah earlier on in the year. And looking at virtual eye, they're 160, nearly 170 kilometres as they head down to the bottom section of the circuit. We can see right in the centre of our screen Lady Spain, who is heading up towards turn 1. And the Breitling Wingwalkers have been fairly busy over the course of this weekend so far. Planes continually circling the course here, and hopefully over the course of this weekend we'll also get some footage from the planes. I think we are carrying cameras, which hopefully we'll be able to grab some of the footage from throughout the course of the weekend. So Yachts Magazine back over the start finish line. 2 minutes 57.74 was their previous best. They do manage to improve it, only just though, so they still remain 4th quickest, but a 2:57.74 is eclipsed, only by a shade though. 2 minutes 57.37 now for, in fact 2 minutes 55.67 they've just gone through at, so the screen adjusting. 2 minutes 55.67, that puts them 2nd quickest, and subject to official confirmation, that's only 15 thousandths of a second adrift from the fastest time that we've seen by the number 10 boat of T-Bone Station. So Lady Spain, the Altman Marine supported boat, working its way down the back section, and this time through that boat looking as though it's riding the water slightly better than it has done earlier on in the session. So it's one of those boats that resides currently just outside of the top 10. That's Dubai as well, just coming down the back straight, heading back towards us. Currently 2nd in the championship standings, and only 9th quickest in this qualifying session, albeit there's 3 boats ahead of them that are wildcard entries. So in reality they're likely to take up a position that would give them 6th in terms of this EMAR pole position, as Lady Spain heads back over the start finish line. 3 minutes 7 their best so far, and as they head through turn 1 they're still at roughly the same part of the circuit as Spirit of Dubai. Lady Spain do improve actually on their lap as well. 3 minutes 6.74 gives them an improvement and moves them up inside the top 10. So good improvement for Lady Spain. And the boat that we're looking at now, number 7, Dubai, is one that could really do with posting a slightly better lap here. There were problems yesterday for Salim Al-Adidi and Jay Price. Jay Price, the Louisiana-based American. And they only got really just one single out lap in the free practice session yesterday, so they're on the back foot, you could argue, coming into this particular session. But the hugely experienced Jay Price will be working very hard indeed to try and make up for that. The body language of the boat will tell you as he went through turn 1 that, yeah, they're pressing on the course of this lap. Videx back out onto course as well. They're about to very shortly come through and I think start for what for them will be a flying lap. The boat that's currently 6th quickest was also quickest in yesterday's free practice session. There it goes through the first turn, through the right-hander, splashing its way out onto the far section of the circuit. And as they head off onto a lap, starting to head back through the first right-hander and coming back towards us is Lady Spain that we're looking at. So Lady Spain heading down the straight. You can see the number 46 boat there, heading in towards that sweeping left-hander that brings them back towards almost the trunk, isn't it, of Palm Jumeirah. Lady Spain improving from 11th up to 10th quickest last time through. Palvrink Nielsen and Pierre Simone Volp. Pierre Simone on the throttles. And as we scan around on Virtual Eye, you can see the number 46 boat with clear water as well at this stage. Spirit of Dubai heading back into the wet pit area, no doubt for a change of props, which is only a 5 or 6 minute job on most of these boats. Whilst they head back to the wet pit area, Marine Investimenti Sud, which is the boat that's currently 11th quickest in this session. Serafino Bellesi and Alessandro Baroni, they continually press on. Lady Spain, though, about to conclude their lap this time. They moved from 11th up to 10th last time through. What can the number 46 Altman Marine supported boat do this time through? So through and over the start-finish line now has gone Lady Spain. 3 minutes 6.74 was their previous best, and they do go quicker, and a fair chunk quicker as well, a 3 minutes 2.99, so that's the best part of 4 seconds quicker than the previous best, and almost gets them up onto terms with the number 7 boat of Dubai, which is also very shortly about to come through and conclude laps. So a very good lap that from Lady Spain there as we see it head back offshore. Here comes number 20, Marine Investimenti Sud, outside of the top 10 at this stage for Serafino Bellesi and Alessandro Barone. So they go through, and the number 20 boat, I think, going on to a flying lap. This is one to watch out for. Looks as though it might have been a good lap this time through for Dubai. 9th quickest, 1 minute 2.79, just a couple of tenths of a second or so between themselves, and Dubai leap right the way up. Good lap that from Jay Price. You can see them now. The number 7 boat is up into 6th position, a 3 minute 0.78 second lap, and almost up onto terms with the pace of Baza. Through comes Videx, boat that was fastest in yesterday's session, resides just outside of the top 6 and hoists itself up into 5th with that lap. So good lap from Videx as well. 2 minutes 57.75 for the number 22 boat of Alfredo Amato and Marco Pinesi. Be very pleased with that. So a fair chunk of the boats back in the pit area at this stage. Lady Spain, who improved by the best part of 4 seconds on their previous lap, looking as though again they are trying to muster something yet further out of the number 46 boat this time through. It was a new boat that joined the Xcats earlier on this year. We didn't see Lady Spain out at either of the rounds in the Middle East, Dubai or Fujairah, both in January and February of this year. In May was the first time that we saw them at Naples. Then they carried on and stayed in Italy for the round at Stresa. But it's the first time that we'll have seen them race in the Gulf here, and hoping to put in a great performance as we look down from Virtual Eye once more is that number 46 boat that is very shortly going to turn its way over the start-finish line. T-Bone Station still fastest of all though in this session, 2 minutes 55.52. You can see just how close it is still, really. Very little to choose in terms of the time, particularly at the sharp end, as Lady Spain comes back over the start-finish line, improved last time through. So from 11th to 10th on the previous lap, from 10th but in massively improving its time on the lap prior, and that time through looking as though they have not been able to muster any further improvement. So for the number 46 boat of Lady Spain, Palverick Nielsen and Pierre Simone Volp, the Norwegian and the Italian respectively, no improvement for them, as we're looking now at the Abu Dhabi number 4 boat, which is trundling its way with the hatch open back round the course. So number 7 Dubai back over the start-finish line, 7th quickest last time through for Salman Adidi and Jay Price. Don't need a great deal of improvement. They found improvement, but they found literally, I think, 14 1,000ths of a second improvement there, which now means if they can find, what, another 16 1,000ths of a second improvement, 6 1,000ths of a second improvement, they might potentially be able to get themselves up into 6th position. So they remain 7th, boat number 7 in 7th position at this stage. And well, that's quite interesting for the championship as well, because in terms of the championship scoring, the number 7 boat of Dubai are second in the championship on 789 points. Third in the championship, 169 points behind them, is the boat that currently is sitting on pole position for the EMAR pole position session, that being T-Bone Station, the pairing of Luca Fendi and Giovanni Carpatelli. So for the championship, that looks good for T-Bone Station, and at this stage for Salman Adidi and Jay Price, there's work to be done come the race tomorrow. Number 22 just going through as well, that's Videx, 5th quickest in this session so far, 2 minutes 57.75. Need to find what the best part of half a second improvement if they want to move up through the order. Not able to do so on that lap. And the course looking fairly clear now, Videx having just concluded their lap. You can see, looking at Virtual Eye, that we've got Marine Investimenti Sud out there, and you can see the skyline, the fabulous skyline of Dubai here, the Burj Khalifa in the background. XCAT out on course as well, just patrolling. There's just under half an hour of the session still to go, so plenty of time still for further improvement. Of course, that XCAT will start the race tomorrow for our final round of the UIM Skydive Dubai XCAT World Series, the Emirates Airline XCAT Grand Prix here in Dubai. And as we look from Virtual Eye, you can see the fabulous Dubai skyline, including, of course, the Palm Jumeirah, which is where a fair chunk of the course just circulates around the very outer edge of. And as we zoom in over the skyscrapers of Media City in towards the Dubai International Marine Club, which is a stunning place to host XCAT racing. That's where the vast majority of the boats can then pit, and we can see from Virtual Eye the GPS positions of the boats as they sit there in the pit area. Looking out onto the 2 boats that are on the course, number 22, which is Videx, fastest, as we said, in yesterday's free practice session, 5th quickest so far in today's qualifying session for pole position. So it's been a solid weekend so far for the number 22 boat. The Italian pairing of Marco Panesi and the throttle man Alfredo Amato, who you can see are now just heading down towards the bottom section of the course. And with just having had two boats out, it looks as though number 96 Yachts Magazine have also come back out of the pit area. So through the final corner comes Videx. You see them beautifully just cutting the corner, getting lined up with the boys so as to absolutely get on the throttles as early as they possibly can, coming out of the final right-hander, getting the boat back up on the plane and accelerating as quickly as they can over the start-finish line. Fifth quickest for Videx. Don't need a great deal of improvement. And as the number 22 boat goes over the start-finish line, 2 minutes 57.75 was their previous best. And they go quickest on that particular lap. So a great lap having been put in by Videx puts them to the very, very top of the times. 2 minutes 54.28, eclipsing the time that T-Bone Station had posted earlier on in the session. That drops them down to second quickest. Yachts Magazine, who are out on course, we can see that number 96 boat at the moment out on course, third quickest, but we've got the top three boats now covered by just 1.4 seconds. And Yachts Magazine, here we look at them, are heading onto an out lap at this stage, so they've got to come over the start-finish line before they can start their flying lap and look to try and post an improvement, and well, very slender improvement it really needs to be. The number 96 boat currently lies 6th in the championship standings, had a non-finish at Naples, had a podium last time out at Stresa, had a top 6 at Fujairah. The first round of the year, though, wasn't a happy hunting ground for Yachts Magazine. They did post a finish here, but they picked up 53 points, which would have given them 8th position in the race overall. But they've now almost got the course to themselves. There's a few more boats that are, I think, heading out onto course. There's a few more turning their way back in, but Yachts Magazine largely have the vast majority of the 3.55 nautical mile course to themselves as they accelerate their way out of the final corner and start to head on to a flying lap this time through. Francois Pinelli opening up the throttles on the Yachts Magazine boat over the start-finish line, getting it up to as good as the maximum speed. And in fact, by the look of things, just as he turns his way around through turn 1, really opening up the throttles again, just easing off the pace as he came around through turn 1, and as he heads up the straight, I think easing back on the throttle. So yeah, it's been an out lap, but no flying lap, has it, from Yachts Magazine? So opting not to roll the dice that time through, Francois Pinelli and Sol Babacco. So they will turn their way back into the course and the pit areas. Two more boats now join us as well. So T-Bone Station are out there looking to try and no doubt reassert themselves back onto pole position in this EMAR pole position session. Also Rosenbu, which is also known as Nicolini Offshore, so Matteo Nicolini and Tommaso Poli also looking to try and improve. T-Bone Station's second quickest at this stage as we look towards their boat, so they're on the out lap in reality. There's the number 4 Abu Dhabi boat, which is also looking as though it may well be heading very slowly, I think, back in towards the pit area. T-Bone Station now, this boat here, number 10, is the one to watch over the course of the lap that they are very shortly about to start. T-Bone Station down the bottom section of the course. You see the number 6 boat as well, Horsenboot, is with them. Number 5, Team Abu Dhabi, looking at virtual eyes, also rejoin the course as well. So the boats that are 2nd, 5th and 8th quickest respectively, all out on course. So T-Bone Station through the final corner, starting to accelerate their way towards the start of what should be a flying lap for them this time through. Luca Fendi and Giovanni Carpitelli So here comes the boat. T-Bone Station through and over the start-finish line, onto a quick lap this time through, the two Italians. So Giovanni Carpatelli opening up the throttles as wide as he possibly can, the 2009 champion. And they start to splash their way down towards the far reaches of the course. We could see that Yachts Magazine making their way through after what was an aborted attempt to try and improve their time. So they're heading back in towards the pit area with the number 96 boat, which leaves us 3 out there on course, according to Virtual Eye. So number 6, Horsenbu, or Nicolini Offshore, having just started a quick lap. You can see the T-Bone Station there, the number 10 boat, are heading up towards the 3 boys, the 3 orange boys that mark out the main race lap here. The right-hander. There is the long lap as well that they need to do, so it's start lap plus 13 laps plus 2 long laps come tomorrow's Emirates Airlines XCAT Grand Prix. And as we look towards that far section of the course, having just seen from Virtual Eye the T-Bone Station, we can now see through the camera, turning its way through the right-hander. There's the orange boys that delineate the right-hander at the first corner, and then from there it's not so much throttles wide open on this section of the course, because this is where they seem to be finding a slightly rougher water. You can see the boat splashing as the bow just breaks the water, and Giovanni Carpatelli on and off the throttles all of the time just to try and control the boat, try and keep the boat as close on the plane as he possibly can, making sure that those props are in the water rather than, as they are occasionally, just slightly out of the water as the boat starts to leap briefly into the air before coming back down with a splash. And this is the point at which the pilots really do have to work overtime so as to control the positioning of the boat in the water all of the time. Through the sweeping left-hander now, and as you can see from Virtual Eye, back towards the bottom right-hander of the course. T-Bone Station, the best of their session so far, 2 minutes 55.52. Need to find a second and a quarter if they want to try and retake the EMAR pole position standings and head towards the pointy end of the times that have been set in this session. And it won't be that much longer, because they're just now turning their way through the final right-hander, starting to build the speed again once more. Having looked through Virtual Eye, we can now see the boat again on camera. Again, you can see in this slightly calmer section of the course, the boat just beautifully poised over the water. 2 minutes 55.52, the best time that T-Bone Station had posted. They've come out of wet pit, they've done 1 flying lap, and is it going to be good enough to reassert them back up onto pole position? It doesn't look so at this stage. What about this boat though as well? Nicolini Offshore, or Horsenbu, who are currently 5th quickest, need to find the best part of almost 3/4 of a second improvement. They want to move up ahead of Moad, who are currently 4th quickest. Through goes Nicolini Offshore. And do we see a further improvement for them? Yes, we do. Yep, they move ahead by the look of things. So the number 6 boat of Matteo Nicolini and Tommaso Poli, having improved their time up to 4th quickest, now they go with a 2 minutes 55.79. That means that Moad, which is Joachim Kummelin and Gary Ballou, number 50, drop down into 5th quickest. We've got Fazza that are there in 6th place. They're the first of the non-scoring boats in reality. Dubai are in 7th place. Then we've got the 2 Abu Dhabi boats in 8th and 9th. Lady Spain completing the top 10, ahead of Marine Investimenti Sud, Fajera Racing, Spirit of Dubai, Qatar and Rahib, that round out the 15 boats that we've seen in the qualifying session so far. So there's only one boat out on course at the moment. That's the one we're looking at, which is the second of the 2 Team Abu Dhabi boats, Rashid Al Taylor and Falah Al Mansouri. They are 8th quickest at this stage, Looking at the timings, you can see both Team Abu Dhabi boats locked together in 8th and 9th position in terms of the qualifying times that they've posted so far. So won't represent their starting position on the grid because they are wildcard entries and therefore will take up their positions after the main XCAT field have done so come the start of the race tomorrow. But more to give them a good benchmark and a gauge for hopefully a full XCAT World Series encounter over the course of 2015. However, having come over the start-finish line, boat taking a very wide line through turn 1, easing off the throttles, and not ultimately able to head on to a true flying lap, so no improvement there. So looking as though they may well be heading back into the pit area, which leaves just a couple of boats out there, one of which we're looking at now, which is Marine Investimenti Sud. Only 11th quickest at this stage for the boat that currently lies 5th in the championship standings. Serafino Bellesi and Alessandro Barone went very, very well in terms of race results back in their native country, Italy. Here, it's not really been a happy hunting ground for them in the Emirates over the course of this year, because whilst they were 3rd and 5th out in Italy, they've not had the results in the Middle East. Number 7 boat of Dubai looking as though it may well be heading back out onto course as well. Salim Al-Adidi and Jay Price. We just briefly saw the number 7 boat there. As we now look back at the conclusion of an outlap that's being put in by the number 20 boat of Marine Investimenti Sud. So through and over the start-finish line comes the number 20 machine. 2 10th places here over the course of this year. Dubai and Fujairah, the first 2 rounds of the year, we saw the boat finish inside the top 10. And as they go over the start-finish line, we can look towards the far reaches of the circuit, and that splashing its way towards us now is Nicolini Offshore. So the white boat with the multicoloured dots all over it. Number 6 Horsenbus, as they're known over the course of this weekend. So you can see them just heading round through the yellow buoys that delineate the left-hander. So they'll be starting to build the speed, taking a slightly wider line into the final corner, because they'll be heading on to a flying lap this time through. Virtual Eye giving us a fabulous impression of not just where the boats are, but also you can see even the visual image of the wake that the boat creates, and you can see the wake that it's creating there on screen, bouncing its way down the course. So through the final corner comes Dubai, and here comes number 6 Horsenbus, or Nicolini Offshore. You can see that they're currently 4th quickest over the course of this session, and are going to start to accelerate their way onto what should be a flying lap for them again this time through. So starting the quick lap goes the number 6 boat, 4th quickest in the standings so far for the EMAR pole position, 2 minutes 55.79, the best time that's been posted by Tommaso Poli, who's the steering pilot on the boat, and Matteo Nicolini, who's on the throttles. And from Virtual Eye you can see that they've got plenty of clear water ahead of them. The next boat that is just down towards the bottom left of your screen, Dubai, is a long way up the course, and having only just come out of the pits as well. So Salam Al-Adidi and Jay Price, the number 7 Dubai boat, currently 7th quickest, number 7, just heading round through the orange markers at the bottom of your screen. You can see the relative gaps as well between the two of them. Virtual Eye is a very clever piece of equipment that gives us fabulous information. I think they're even trialling heart rate monitors on some of the pilots over the course of this weekend, which no doubt if that is successful, that might be another very interesting addition to the information that Virtual Eye can bring us moving forward, hopefully into the 2014 season. So Dubai onto the back straight, and again you can see that slightly choppier water causing the front of the boat to leap out of the water. 5 Abu Dhabi boat still circulating as well, but this is the one that we need to keep an eye on here. So the number 7 Dubai boat, the lap that we need to keep an eye on is the one that they're shortly about to start. We can see them just heading through that left-hander now, the number 7 boat, building the speed all of the time up to, what, 160 kilometres per hour. And then from there, they'll make sure that they take a different line relative to the usual line through the final turn. So they can then, in the case of Jay Price, really open up those throttles as soon as they possibly can. Jay Price, of course, who was the world champion back in 2008. He was runner-up in 2010-11 as well. So, American throttle man with enormous amounts of experience. Significantly more than the driver that sits alongside him. From the Emirates, Salim Al-Adidi. And there you go, there goes the boat past the yellow buoy, over the start-finish line, starting a quick lap this time through. Salim Al-Adidi, who is gaining in experience, gaining all of the time. You could see the boat just catching a little bit of water as it came round through turn 1 there, so that would have kept Jay Price busy, getting on and off the throttles as he turned his way through the right-hander onto the straight that brings him up onto the far section of the course. And as they're heading through that section of the course, we can see that also heading over the start-finish line has just come the number 6 boat of Horsenboot, who were not able to improve their time that time through, so they still remain 4th quickest, number 6, with a 2 minutes 55.79 second lap. See, Videx still topping the times at this stage. No one has yet been able to eclipse the 2 minutes 54.28 that Videx posted midway through this session. The number 20 boat of Marine Investimenti Sud, which is Serafino Bellesi and Alessandro Barone, who were outside of the top 10. You can see that they have now improved. They've moved the number 20 boat up into 8th position, so a 3 minutes 1.64 for Marine Investimenti Sud. And they'll be very pleased with that. A couple of 10th places, a 5th and a 3rd for the number 20 boat throughout the course of this season. And they've got fairly clear water ahead of them as well, because only a couple of boats out there on quick laps at this stage. One of them is this one here, so Marine Investimenti Sud, 8th quickest over the start-finish line, 3 minute 1.64 having been their best so far. And as the boat turns its way round through turn 1, that lap is good enough to give them 6th position. So less than 3 minutes for the first time for the number 20 boat, down into the 2 minute bracket, 2 minutes 58.28 for Marine Investimenti Sud. So great work having been done there by Serafino Bellesi on the throttles and Alessandro Barone. The number 7 boat, though, of Salim Al-Adidi and Jay Price, again, the body language of the boat will tell you that they're trying again on this lap. So through the 3 yellow buoys, which delineate the left-hander, there goes Nicolini offshore. They're heading back off the course again, in towards the pit area. As this boat here is now the sole boat that's out there and on a quick lap, by the look of things. So through the right-hander with, what, probably about 10 minutes of the session still to go. So through the right-hander goes the Dubai boat. Currently only 8th quickest, 3 minutes 0.64, the best time that's been posted by Salim Al-Adidi and Jay Price. Let's see what they might be able to do over the course of this one. Certainly it looked as though the boat has had a reasonably good lap. On the throttles again as early as possible will be Jay Price. The smoother section of water that brings them up towards the start-finish line. Are we going to see improvement for the Dubai boat? Plenty of support for them, of course, over the course of this weekend. They go over the start-finish line, and do they improve from 8th position? Well, 3 minutes 0.64. They didn't need a great deal of improvement to try and beat the time of Fazza. Fazza having posted a 3 minutes 58, as you can see, but not enough done there for Salim Al-Adidi and Jay Price. A good lap, but unfortunately not giving them the improvement that they ideally would have wished. So they are also not able to improve. We'll give you a quick rundown of the times whilst the course remains fairly clear at this stage. The number 22 boat of Videx, that is Alfredo Amato and Marco Penesi, sits there at this stage on pole position in this EMAR pole position session, but still with time for others, if they wanted to come out and respond to that quickest time that we've had so far. Second quickest is the number 10 boat of T-Bone Station. That is Luca Fendi and Giovanni Carpatelli, lying third in the championship. So a good session having been put in by the number 10 boat, 2 minutes 55.52. Third quickest is the number 96 boat of Yachts Magazine, so Francois Pinelli and Sol Babacco, with a 2 minutes 55.67. And fourth quickest is number 6 Nicolini Offshore or Horsenbu, with a 2 minutes 55.79. Moed, who we haven't seen a great deal of over the course of this session, but they came out, they put a quick lap in, and they've been reasonably satisfied with it. Clearly, number 50 Moad, which is the pairing of Joachim Kumlin and Gary Ballou, 2 minutes 56.74. Sixth quickest was number 20, which is Marine Investimenti Sud, which is Serafino Bellesi and Alessandro Barone, with a 2 minutes 58.28. They're all of the boats that are inside the 2 minute bracket. Then we move out to Faza, who have posted 7th quickest time in this session, but of course will not necessarily take up that position on the grid as we look towards the Dubai boat of Salim El Adidi and Jay Price, who are working their way back into the pit area. And, well, lying second in the championship, having been a little bit on the back foot following water pressure problems with that boat yesterday in the free practice session. That was why they only completed literally an outlap in the boat before they spent the rest of the time in the pits. The crew have been, the Victory team crew have been working away on the boat overnight, and they've had more time on course today, but still perhaps a little bit more time to be found in the boat as well. There's the number 20 boat, 6th quickest in the session for Marine Investimenti Sud. And looking at Virtual Eye, we have got one more boat that's out there, and I suspect this is the push for pole position for T-Bone Station, leaving it very late in the session. Now on their lap out of the pits at this stage, so for Luca Fendi and Giovanni Carpatelli, they are now looking to try and claim, if they can, the EMAR pole position for themselves and try and take it away from the number 22 boat of Videx. Well, 1 1/4 seconds is the margin that needs to be eroded. So 1.24 is the gap, so they need to post a 1.25 second lap to claim the pole position. And as they head down towards the bottom of the course, as we see from Virtual Eye, through the yellow buoys that delineate the left-hander, then the orange buoys that mark out the right-handers on this course. And again, zooming back out and spinning around from Virtual Eye, we can see the boat trying to straighten up as quickly as possible coming out of that right-hander and accelerating the speed. You'll be able to see the speed build now on Virtual Eye. Up onto the plane the boat will come, and accelerating up to, should be almost 170 kilometers per hour by the time they come over the start-finish line. Not quite, because they have to very quickly turn their way into the right-hander, which is what they're doing now, T-Bone Station. So through the right-hander, and having gone through the right-hander, then start to head away from the main coast here and away from the Dubai International Marine Club. And as we look from Virtual Eye, you can see them heading past. There is Skydive Dubai, the runway on our left-hand side, and are heading then right the way out to course. You can see over to the right there's some of the skyscrapers at the bottom end of Media City here in Dubai, and the boat is slowing up. So T-Bone Station have aborted that lap by the look of things, yet you can see the boat sitting much lower in the water. Virtual Eye, we could briefly before we cut away see that the speed had dropped, so opted to not go for it. Something not quite right on that particular lap, or not entirely happy with the start of the lap, and therefore it looks as though it's an aborted lap for T-Bone Station, which, as we cut away back to Virtual Eye, you can see the boat has turned left and is now working its way back in towards the pit area. So with the course being clear, we once more see action in the sky as well. The Breitling Wingwalkers, who are going to be displaying tomorrow before the start of our Emirates Airline XCAT Grand Prix. As T-Bone Station, they'll still be happy, I would have thought, with second position. Ideally would have liked to have claimed the EMAR pole position for themselves, but in terms of the championship battle, well, they lie third in the championship with 169 points separating that boat there, number 10, between themselves and the number 7 boat of Dubai. And will come the race tomorrow, subject to how T-Bone Station get on relative to Dubai, it may well be that second and third in terms of the championship standings swap. Of course, Salam El Hadidi and Jay Price would rather not, but T-Bone Station, who are, as we see on Virtual Eye, heading back into the pit area, would ideally like to claim second for their own in terms of the 2014 championship standings for the UIM Skydive Dubai XCAT World Series. We still do have Videx out on course at this stage as well, and looking at the time, they are just heading round through the bottom left of your screen, so that's through the first corner, or second corner in reality. The first corner is almost immediately after the start line, where they just kink through the right-hander. Then they've got the big long straight bringing them away from the shore, which is where they're going now, and starting to now just build the speed a little bit here. Already on the pole position, we started this session not quite at the time expected, which means that we've probably got, what, another couple of minutes to go before the checkered flag will fall on the session, which should give Videx enough time to, as long as they can get round and over the start-finish line to start the lap in time, should give them enough time to see whether they're able to further better the 2 minutes 54.28 second lap that they posted almost halfway through the session, wasn't it, when they took pole position away from the number 10 boat of T-Bone Station, who a few moments ago we saw heading back into the pit area. Videx still not quite at the pace right now, starting to open up the throttles by the look of things. We can see a lot more water coming out the back end of the boat. The rooster tail's beginning to appear. The front of the boat now starting to rise out of the water as it gets up on the plane. So starting to build the speed towards the conclusion of the outlap, and should, I think, just about get over the start-finish line before the clock ticks to 0. So through the left-hander, all of the time the speed beginning to build. So most of these boats, certainly in the calmer sections of this course, able to get up to 120 miles per hour almost. So that's hovering around 170, 175 kilometres per hour, which is what we can see on Virtual Eye the boat's doing now. So then through the right-hander, we haven't seen Videx on pole position this year. Pole position in the previous rounds has been rather dominated by the Faza team, but if the Videx boat can do it, number 22, Alfredo Amato and Marco Benesi, it would be their second pole position of the year, because they claimed pole position in Naples. They are the only boat on course, so the time is rather impossible for anybody else to try and respond to now, and they, I think, have probably received the radio call for that, so they've eased off as they've gone round through turn 1, and as they head round through turn 1, they have come off the throttles and eased the pace again. So looking as though they know that they've done enough pole position in Naples. It looks as though the EMAR pole position here is going the way of Videx as well. So in terms of times then, Videx at this stage 2 minutes 54.28, looking as though it's sufficient to give them pole position. Checkered flag isn't out yet though, but on the basis of there are no other boats on the course, it really doesn't give them sufficient time to get out onto the course, then do the outlap and then respond. So Videx, we can confirm now, have claimed the EMAR pole position award, so congratulations to number 22 Videx which is the pairing of Alfredo Amato and Marco Panesi, their second EMAR pole position of the 2014 season, backing up the pole position that they took at the Naples round that was in the middle part of May in Italy, the first time that the XCAT World Series had visited Naples. So the number 22 boat will make its way back into the pit area with no doubt huge amounts of applause from the team. 2 minutes 54.28 their time in the session. Second quickest was number 10 T-Bone Station with a 2 minutes 55.52. Bodes well, doesn't it, for the pairing of Luca Fendi and Giovanni Carpatelli, who currently lie third in the championship standings and would love to try and claim second if they can over the course of this weekend. Third quickest is number 96, which is Yachts Magazine, Francois Pinelli and Sol Babacco with a 2 minute 55.67, and fourth quickest was number 6, which was Horsenbu or Nicolini Offshore with a 2 minutes 55.79. Those first four boats, subject to official confirmation, separated by a little more than a second and a half. Fifth quickest, didn't see a lot of them in the session, but it was a good lap put in early on for number 50, which was Moad, Joachim Kumlin and Gary Ballou with a 2 minute 56.74 as the pole position boat continues its way into the pit area. And in sixth position is where we will see Marine Investimenti Sud, 2 minutes 58.28. The rest of the XCAT officials making their way back into the pit area, and we can then in a few moments start to look forward to later on this afternoon, where we see between 3:30 and 4:30 the Dubai duty-free Speedcat runs, which are going to be the next of the action that we'll see. And they will, as we look towards the rest of the officials making their way in, they will take a slightly different route for the Speedcat runs. Looking on Virtual Eye, they will start at the very bottom of our screen, and then they will head underneath the bridges that bring the traffic and the rail on towards the Palm Jumeirah, and then from there they will accelerate their way over the start-finish line, and it's really just a flat-out drag race until they get to the checkered flag. So we've got 3:30 this afternoon, the Dubai duty-free Speedcat runs to look forward to. Join us then.